Hello viewer, welcome to the program Guest of the Week. In this edition of the program, we are going to discuss on infrastructural development in Borno State. Our guest today is an engineer by profession, Vice Chairman, Kimet Nigeria Limited, in person of Engineer MK Abadan. Engineer, you are welcome to Guest of the Week.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. First and foremost, we are going to start with who is Engineer MK Abadan? Briefly, your biodata.
As the name implies, I think it's a very straightforward. My name is Malam Keriko, popularly, MK. I was grown up in Abadan. I was born to the family of late Malam Kaubulama, Abadan, and Haja Zarogon from Abadan. Alhamdulillah, I started my earlier, primary education from Abadan, in Abadan Primary School from 1973 to 1979, where I obtained my first living school certificate, from where I proceeded to Government Secondary School, Kukawa, from 1979 to 1982. From 1982 to 1984, I attended Government Science Secondary School in Manila. So I attended two secondary schools, actually, first at the junior level and then the second stage at the senior level. In 1984, immediately after our general certificate of education examination, I proceeded to Polytechnic with a degree where I studied civil engineering at the national diploma level. Then in the same year, I graduated in 1987. I obtained an employment with the University Teaching Hospital in the engineering department as an assistant technical officer in charge of state. That was still in 1987. Thereafter, still in the same year, I proceeded to the Ministry of Works. I got an appointment as a technical officer civil, where I worked for almost 3 years before proceeding.
In Borno State, particularly the Zulum's perspectives. As an engineer, on assumption of duty as governor of Borno State, Governor Zulum has put a lot of measures to recover Borno State, particularly the infrastructural development. How will you describe the journey so far?
The journey so far is exceedingly very well. His Excellency Professor Babagan Omar Zulum is somebody who is steadfast in all his dealings. He's actually committed to building of a united and progressive Borno State. He's, like I mentioned, steadfast in all his dealing very well. He has nurtured professionalism with all its contents with a very exceptional care and consideration. You look at the way his style of governor is highly professional. When I say professionalism, you look at, following of due process. Anybody who follows due process to attain the desired result is highly professional, not in terms of engineering abilities, but also the skill of management of resources. So the journey so far in infrastructural development of Borno State is highly commendable because it's second to none in the whole of this country. In the last 4 years, the achievements, when we are going to now start talking about achievements of His Excellency Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, I think the whole of this program can be consumed without even, attaining to 20 or 25% of the total progress made so far. So in a nutshell, I don't want to start discussing all the issues related, this happened. Honestly, we all know, but it's highly commendable, and everybody is there for everybody to see. He has actually touched all aspects of critical infrastructures. There are infrastructures that are critical and that's semi-critical and that's abdominally critical. So all the critical sections of the infrastructural development of our state that will take us to the promised land, that will take us to the next level, has all been touched in terms of environment, in terms of works and housing, in terms of road construction, in terms of water resources, agriculture, in terms of youth empowerment, in terms of security, in terms of education. All aspects of the sector of the human endeavors that will require us to reach the next level have all been touched without any bias to any sector. So I think so far so good. The journey is very, very well commendable.
Many communities were destroyed during the Boko Haram insurgency in Borno State. But the governor made a promise that all the destroyed communities will be recovered and all the displaced IDPs will going to be resettled without any further delay so as to enable the rural dwellers to go back to their farming activities, because without returning to the farming, we are not going to ensure food security amongst our people. It is high time for us. We should not endure to hire NGOs and NGOs to continue feeding our people. The governor has made that promise on several occasions. How did you see so far? Is there any communities that were not resettled so far?
Yes, in Borno State, before 2019, it was the manifestation was very clear that most of the local governments have not been returned to their, most people have not returned to their ancestral homes, especially in the northern part of the state. But when Professor Babagana Umar Zulum came on board, actually that's the first thing he started. He said he promised, and he really made his promise, and so far he has fulfilled almost 90% of his promises in terms of, you know, settling back the people back to their communities. I think we've seen that the concentration of IDPs within our state has seriously reduced, tremendously reduced, has come back to the lowest level. So I think the only two local governments that so far have not been fully recovered, I think the major is Abodom local government, where I came from. And he promised, he traveled to Difa in Niger Republic severally. He met with the president of the Niger Republic, where I think because of the efforts he made, they even recognized and gave him the highest order, the highest merit award of that nation. I believe is still related to, you know, the efforts he has been putting in place in trying to see that, you know, our people go back to their ancestral homes. So you'll find out that because of that, he traveled to Difa. He settled some people in Malum Fatri, but unfortunately, one or few lapses came up. But he's still on board. Even before the 2023 election, he made promises, and I believe he's going to fulfill his promise by settling back our people back to their homes. Because by doing that, agricultural, you know, activities will commence. People will be self-reliant. All these activities will also reduce. Even the menace associated with the insecurity will highly reduce. I'm sure about that. So I think this are so far our local government is the only local government that has not fully, you know, went back to their homes. So there are some few, even Guzamala, some part have recovered, some not, but, you know, so far, you know, the only local government that's left is Aberdeen local government. I'm sure he's going to do that because he promised, and he has taken all the strategies at hand. He has taken the bull by the horn to make sure that they return, and I'm sure whatever he promised is going to fulfill, inshallah.
Engineer, on assumption, he launched a 25-year development plan and 10-pack agenda of his administration, which saw the establishments of agencies like Bureau of Public Procurement, the Security Trust Fund, Education Trust Fund, so on and so forth. So far, so good. How will you extract this policy?
Yes, the policies are very well, you know, people-oriented policies. You know, it's one thing to develop a policy, it's another thing to also, you know, implement the policies. In his own case, he has already established the policies. He has already come up with the dream. So the establishment is there, but to implement, that's where he really also, you know, tried his best, because by picking the best hands into all this. Especially if you look at the Bureau of Public Procurement and also the Education Trust Fund, if you look at the people who have been mandated, what happened, you know, I don't want to mention names, but I think that these are people who are credible. Even the executive secretary of the ETF, you know, we've seen him, we've seen all the progress he has made. He's somebody who has a very good background in terms of teaching, because he was one time a lecturer, and we've seen that he worked, you know, outside the government also in private sector like African Petroleum. So he has a wealth of experience, and he has brought that, and we've seen how, you know, the educational development of the has really taken shape, you know, under the watch of the executive secretary of the ETF. And then going back to the Bureau of Public Procurement, where you said there are a lot of loopholes, you know, that has also been blocked, been sealed up. Before, prices for construction in Borno State would just, you know, move on, you know, randomly, arbitrarily. People would just increase rates anyhow. You know, when you come to Borno now, you see that prices of commodities, prices of construction items are harmonized. And then all the loopholes, you know, related to you know, all the loopholes related to non-performance, you know, has also been blocked. So you'll find out that the Bureau of Public Procurement has brought up policies where rates are harmonized. If you come to Borno, the rates of construction has already been known. Any contractor who has come, he or she will never, you know, charge arbitrarily. We know what is there. So all these have really brought, you know, the cost of construction down in Borno State. So it's a very, very good thing, because they also monitor the price. BPP is not also to control the price, but to also, it's just like a price intelligence unit of the government. They also monitor the performance. They also look at how, the contractors are also, trying to charge their rates. So I think it's very, very commendable, and all these policies have brought down the cost of construction down.
With the establishment of the Bureau of Public Procurement, we saw the construction of first ever flyover that was put in place in the custom area, and currently we have another second flyover which is under construction at Express Junction, and another tunnel at Gamboru Market Junction, so on and so forth. Is that the BPP has assisted greatly in seeing all this infrastructural development?
Definitely, the BPP has really, done a lot, because the way they have done is just like e-procurement right now. They have studied e-procurement. E-procurement in the sense that the first day, they are going to make an advertisement. After getting approval from the State Executive Council, they are going to place an advertisement for any of the job in the national dailies. So it's very transparent. People will come and bid. You can come and give your prices. And then there's a timeline for that. Then after that, they analyze it. The contractor will submit their bids. And then after submitting the bid, they look at the bids and analyze it. Then from there on, they're going to select the cheapest, the lowest bid. And also, not only the lowest, but also proactive bid. Because the point is that you can provide a lowest bid, but you don't have the capacity to do that. So that's why they're looking at both sides of the coin. They look at the performance of the contractor, whether the contractor will be in a position to perform, and at the same time, his bill is also lowest. Now, if the engineer's estimate for constructing a particular project is, let's say, 2 billion, if this is the engineer's estimate, then if somebody quotes 1 billion, you know that the guy is not serious, definitely, because he cannot perform. He just collect your money and run away. But you cannot also come and charge 3 billion, because the baseline is 2 billion naira. But plus or minus 5%, up or below is also, acceptable. So that's how they monitor the prices, and then they bring down the cost of construction very, very low. So if you look at the flyover that you just talk about, I challenge you, honestly speaking, to check around the country as well. This is the cheapest and the most cost-effective flyover that has ever been constructed in the history of Nigeria. We check around, because we work in many states. We check their rates, and then we compare a lot. Why? Because and it's effective and it's there. So the quality is good. We've all seen it. It has satisfied all the requirements, international standard, and then the cost is also low. People will wonder, how does this happen? It's because through Bureau of Public Procurement, control of prices, and they have effective supervisors also. So, like I mentioned, in the beginning of the program, that Professor Gana Umara Zulum, His Excellency, is someone who has really nurtured professionalism with exceptional care and consideration. I've told you this. How does that come? Because of the professionalism. In addition to the supervisors from the Ministry of Works, he also employed consultants. And these consultants are local consultants, our own people, local consultants, not somebody coming from outside or from Europe or from China or somewhere to look at, to supervise the project. So our local consultants who have been groomed, within the system, they're the one implementing the policies of the government in collaboration with the Ministry of Work. So it's commendable. A lot of experience have gone. Our younger ones have also been brought on board, and then they have learned a lot. They have learned the technicalities, the engineering aspect of how flyover is being constructed. How does it start? What are the concepts? So all of these people have really learned about that. So it's not only the edifice, but it has also brought some knowledge into the public domain, into the popular arena, especially in the engineering cycle. Because I know of our younger ones who have really learned a lot in this, and I'm sure in the next generation, they will be at the helm of affairs. So it's highly commendable.
Does your firm, Kimek Engineering Nigeria Limited, bidded?
No, we've not bidded for that project actually.
Any of the projects?
Yes, we bidded one, and then Alhamdulillah we were given one from my experience, and then we constructed a road from Bolori Junction to Malakachala hospital. It's about 1.96 kilometers, roughly around 2 kilometers of road. with drainages, main drainages, and then with street lights, storm base, and everything. We constructed, and we finished it with the stipulated period of time. And we achieved that not because of our efforts. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really assisted, but it's through the influence of His Excellency. Why? Because if you started a project, the funds are there for the project. So when there are funds waiting for the contractor to finish and get your money, honestly speaking, there's no way you cannot perform. Anybody who has not performed when the funds are available, then I think that contractor is not a serious contractor. So sometimes that's what we call certificate of valuation. At every milestone, we analyze, look at the work, we assess it, and then raise a certificate of payment. So sometimes even before we raise a certificate of payment, he asks the ministry, does contractor ABC has certificate because his fund is there? So he's one chasing you for payment, not you, the contractor, chasing him for payment. So there's no way you cannot perform. And this is very, very exceptional in the whole of this country. In many places, we work, and then sometimes for 1 year, your certificates are lined down in the ministry, no process. 2, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, no payment from anybody. So you cannot even protect the work you've done. There are deterioration, and in the end, we'll come and say, okay, we need variation, because once you abandon a project, not abandon the project, but once you slow down on project, definitely the cost of project will definitely increase. Because if you look at it, even between last year and this year, the trend of inflation in the country, is a little bit high. Right now, inflation is almost about 90%, so it's so high. So last year was not like that. Bitumen as a main ingredient for road construction, just about some few months it was about 220, 300,000 per ton, but now it's only about 800 naira per ton. So can you imagine? So a contractor cannot perform. Once you delay in payment, definitely the contractor will come and ask for variation. So in his own case, His Excellency will make sure that you are paid for mobilization, and thereafter he keeps that money, and so that at least at every milestone you are going to be paid for effective and efficient delivery of the project.
Road linking Malam Pateri, the headquarters of Abadam local government, and run that of Kalapalga local government are one of his priority under his second phase of administration. So as an engineer, what's your take on this?
My take on this is very simple. He promised that, and I'm sure he's going to fulfill his promise. But the cost of construction has really gone up, and I'm sure that's a major road from to Abadan, whether from Damasak or from Kroskawa. Okay, that's a federal road. So I'm sure he's going to collaborate, with the federal government, with his influence, by God's grace, and then we have His Excellency Senator Kashim Jetima as a vice president, with the collaboration of all our major stakeholders in the Senate and also in the House of Representatives. I believe they appropriated very well. I'm sure that project will be a history. I'm sure it's going to push that. And sometimes the state government, even construct some road on behalf of the federal government. Maybe you're aware of that, I don't know. They carry out some construction project. Then later, they ask for reimbursement from the federal government. Because even this flyover, it's a federal road, right? But His Excellency took the ball by the horn to make sure that he constructed it. Right now, a road from Damboa to Chibok up to Mbalara is a federal road, but the state government is doing it. When he came on board, I believe in the last 4 years, His Excellency injected nothing less than 3 to 3.5 billion naira into that project. That's why we achieved almost, I think, because we are the one handling that one. That's why we achieved almost 25 kilometers out of the 30 kilometers. So we are left with only 5 kilometers to complete. And this is a project that has been there for almost 56 years. People have been suffering. Just 30 kilometers from Damboa to Chibok. But during the rainy season, it was going to even take like 18 hours before they reach that place, their destination. 18 years, 10 hours. Sometimes they even, getting stuck on the way. But now, Damboa to Chibok, in less than 45 minutes you reach there. 45 minutes. We went last time around, so we reached up to 25 kilometers, and we were just left with about 5 kilometers to complete. And I promise that he's going to fund it so that before the active commencement of the rainy season, we'll be done with that project. So these are all federal roads. He's doing it, then later he will ask for reimbursement. But he doesn't even care whether the amount will reimburse or not, because his interest is just for him to do that, to construct that road for the benefit of our people.
Another area of concern of the government is dualizations of roads within MMC and Jere, particularly that the road starts from Lamusawa area, from Monday Market to Sabon Lamba up to Galadima Junction to Flour Mill, linking up to Baga Road. Then from Sheikh Idrissa Kadis Junction down to Kasuan Shanu. And another ring road from Jimtilo to University of Maiduguri, from Jimtilo to Gubio Road up to Baga Road, from Baga Road to Muna up to Bama Road. How will you describe all these pragmatic approaches being made by the government?
These are all, tools for national development. That's why I told you that he is very, very steadfast in his conviction. Definitely, at the end of the day, he's going to leave a good landmark, a legacy of landmark, all right, in the political dispensation of their state. Now, all these policies that he has brought will really bring a huge development. Very, very huge development to our state, especially the state capital. He's opening up. These are all critical infrastructures. He's trying to open up the state. All these roads, by the time they are put in place, or not all, but at least even 50 or 60% of these have been put in place, you'll see that the traffic can be decongested. It's going to open up the economy. There's going to be ease of people and goods and commodities, in and out of the state, capital. Then people will also now, concentrate on developing. You'll see that by the time you open up, you'll see that, there is going to be beautification of the town, and then to open up the environment completely. So this will now ease the transportation. So people will also open up and start, decongesting the state itself. By the time you have a ring road, if you are coming from Kano or from Benishek or from Damaturu, for instance, when you don't have any business in Maiduguri, but your business is somewhere around the quarter, so you have no business in Maiduguri, so you don't need to enter Maiduguri, you don't need to pass through Maiduguri. So you take your right and then pass through that road to the Lori quarters, or to University of Maiduguri, or to Kondaga, or to Bama. At the same time, if you come, through that side also, and then when you have no business in Maiduguri, but you want to go to travel to Gubio or to Magumari or to Gajigana or to Mongono, when you have no business in Maiduguri, so you have no business, passing through the town, so that you can just take your left and then move on. By doing that, you can decongest the town. By the time you decongest, there's going to be easy movement of goods, services, and people, in and out of Maiduguri. So it's highly commendable. And then we'll see the results, not immediately, but at least in a very long time to come. Definitely, we were all alive. We'll see a lot of changes and development, taking the shape of the real landscape of Maiduguri.
Does Kimek Nigeria Limited ready to partner with the state government to take up some of the challenges in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. We are indigenous. And then when we bidded for the first project, we executed it, successfully. And then we were given the project not because we were indigenous of the state, but because of our commitment. Because it's a process we followed, and then they look at the documentation, they look at the capacity, and then they look at our financial bid, and then based on that, we awarded the project. So definitely we're interested in partnering because it's our state. If we don't do it, then who is coming to do it? If we are there to develop other places, then I think it's the right time we should be in our state to assess our people. And then the advantage of us being here is not only to do the job, but also to provide some local content. Because once we are here, we train our younger ones, we carry it on board, because by the time we start the work, you'll find out that all our engineers are from Borno State. We made sure that the surveyors, all our technical team, are all here. Even the skill and then the non-skill. So I think that development of local content to me, is more than anything. So we're interested in partnering once given the opportunity, once given the chance.
Engineer MK, on a final note, what advice do you have to the people of the state to continue rallying around the present administration for more success?
Yeah, just before the 2023 general election, in one of the interviews, I had with Brtv, I mentioned it very clear that we had no alternative to Professor Buhari, no alternative. I called on all our brothers and sisters just before the election. I called on everybody to rally around His Excellency to give me support so that we vote for him overwhelmingly. Because I said that irrespective of our political inclination, whether we are PDPs, whether we are
SDP, whatever, I said it very clearly and mentioned it very clearly without any apology to anybody that there was no alternative to him at that very particular time. Among all the candidates, up to today, I intend to stand that no apology to anybody. He was the best, and then we proved that, yeah, he's the best. And that's why he gathered more than 500,000
votes. And alhamdulillah, so after voting him into power, I think what we now have is that he has the intention to take our state to the next level. He's highly committed to building a progressive and united Borno state. Then we need to now rally behind him. We need to really support him with prayers. Prayers, I think, is the key. We need to really, come up, be patient, and they give him all the necessary support to make sure that he performs. And when he performs, it's for our own good, it's for our own benefit. So I think, that's what I just, call on everybody to pray for our state, so that at least the government will succeed on all the developmental projects, all the developmental strides that are already, taking shape.
Well, viewer, that was Engineer MK Abadam, Vice Chairman, QMEC Nigeria Limited, on Guest of the Week. Engineer, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for having me also. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Inshallah. All right. Okay.
Thus, we end today's edition of Guest of the Week from Borno Radio Television Broadcasting Maiduguri. On behalf of the entire recording crew, this is Ali Mohamed Shah saying bye for now.